Haunted America, The Ghosts That Never Left, Part 3. A Bambi Palermo and Pizza vs. Studios original documentary. The ghosts that built this place. You ever notice how quiet ain't really quiet? Like, even when the room's dead still, you still hear something, a hum, a whisper. Maybe your conscience tapping its foot? That's America, sweetheart. A whole country built so fast we forgot to bury the bones right. Every gold rush, every steel mill, every godforsaken hospital, it's all got one thing in common. Ghosts. Not just the sheet-wearing kind, nah. I'm talking the spiritual residue of bad choices and worse intentions. Tonight, we're taking a little road trip through the nation's haunted arteries. Alaska's frostbitten sins, Alabama's molten nightmares, Arizona's desert regrets, Connecticut's forest of whispers, and Ohio's house of the forgotten. So grab a coat, grab a cross, if you still got faith left, and keep the headlights on. This ain't no ghost hunt, Pison. This is a history lesson with unfinished business. The Red Onion Saloon, Skagway, Alaska, where the whiskey never stopped burning. You ever been somewhere that smells like time forgot it? Like you walk in and the air's thick with stories nobody's got the guts to tell out loud? That's Skagway, Alaska. End of the world. A place so far north it feels like God turned around for 1 second and man snuck in and built a bar. Year was 1897, the Klondike Gold Rush. The streets were mud and blood, lined with tents, hopes, and hangovers. People coming from everywhere, the desperate, the hungry, the greedy, the dreamers, and the fools, all chasing the same lie. Just one more strike and I'm rich. And sitting right in the middle of that frozen chaos, gleaming like sin in a snowstorm, was the Red Onion Saloon. The whiskey, the women, and the wreckage. She wasn't just a bar, she was a border between what a man wanted and what he couldn't have. Downstairs was for drinking. Upstairs was for forgetting. 10 rooms, 10 ladies, and 100 broken hearts. And among them, one name still gets whispered when the lights flicker. Lydia, tall, sharp, with that kind of beauty that hurt when you look too long. They said she could make a man forget he ever had a conscience. But here's the kicker, she never left. People still hear her walking upstairs. Cold spots in the hallway, perfume, old and powdery, hanging in the air like she just passed you by. And sometimes when the bartender's alone cleaning up, the whiskey bottles on the top shelf start to clink, one by one. Locals will tell you she died of loneliness. Others say it was a jealous lover. Me? I think Lydia died like most souls up here did, slowly, watching her own reflection fade while everyone else moved on. The real history behind the ghost. Now here's where the pizza-verse meets the textbook, capisce? The Red Onion Saloon was built in 1898, when Skagway was the last stop before the Yukon goldfields. A one-way street for dreamers. Every brick, every board in that place was bought with somebody's gamble. They had a piano player, a brothel upstairs, and a madam who ran the joint with an iron smile. When the gold rush ended, the dreams went bust, but the stories stuck around. 'Cause when a place's walls hear enough desperation, they start talking back. The ghost in the business. Now let me tell you kids, you and I both know what happens when a place makes too much money too fast. Every saloon, every casino, every whorehouse, same story. You get greed, betrayal, and ghosts that don't clock out. Picture it. A 1930s mobster from the lower 48, running from the feds, decides to lay low in Alaska. Buys the Red Onion, thinks he's starting over, but Lydia's still upstairs watching. She don't like new management. Every night his liquor spoils, the lights flicker, and his reflection starts smiling back when he ain't. He cracks. Next morning they find him sitting at the bar, glass in hand, eyes open, frozen. No wound, no struggle, just gone. On the counter, one lipstick print, red, faded, old as time. The psychology of a haunting. See, hauntings ain't about ghosts. They're about guilt. A ghost ain't a soul trapped here. It's a story we keep repeating. And Lydia? She's the American dream with a hangover, Beauty used, hope sold, and dignity pawned off for survival. You walk into that saloon today, it's a museum now. You still feel it. That ache, that invisible hangover of human need. You look up the staircase, and even if you don't believe in ghosts, you find yourself whispering, "Sorry, Lydia, I get it. History don't haunt the buildings. It haunts the people who pretend it ain't there." And every bottle that clinks, every whisper in the dark, that's the past reminding us it ain't done talking yet. Next stop, we go south where the air gets hot, the metal screams, and the ghosts don't whisper, they roar. Sloss Furnaces, Birmingham, Alabama. Thornery, the Devil's Foundry. You ever stand somewhere so hot it feels like it's breathing on you? Like the air itself got teeth? That's Birmingham, Alabama, a city built on sweat, soot, and sin. In the late 1800s, it was called the Magic City. But let me tell you something, sweetheart. Every magic trick's got blood behind it. And the Sloss Furnaces? That was the bloody part. The birth of industrial hell? Year was 1882. The South's still limping from the Civil War, but money talks louder than grief. Birmingham was trying to rise from the ashes, and iron was the ticket. So they built this beast, a steel giant, a cathedral of fire. Men worked 20-hour shifts in the furnace room, feeding coal, breathing poison, melting metal till their hands blistered through the gloves. And at the top of it all, a foreman named James Slag Wormwood, a bastard with a stopwatch for a heart. He didn't care about names, just numbers. They said he'd walk the catwalk screaming at men to move faster. Don't stop, don't breathe, keep that fire hungry. One night, 1906, he's up on the scaffolding, bossing men, cursing, spitting, and suddenly he slips. Or maybe he don't. But what we know for sure, he went headfirst into the molten iron. 2,000 degrees, gone before he could even scream proper. After that, the fire changed. Workers said they felt watched. Voices in the steam, shadows moving where no man should be. And when the night shift hit, tools would fly off the racks, machines would turn on, and some said they saw a man-shaped shadow glowing red, eyes like coals, jaw smiling like the devil himself. They said it was Slag, still patrolling, still pushing them to keep that fire alive. The cost of progress. Now look, we can dress this up all we want with ghost stories, but here's the truth behind the haunting, Bambi. The Sloss Furnaces weren't cursed by ghosts. They were cursed by greed. In those days, the South ran on cheap labor, real cheap. You had newly freed black men working in the worst conditions imaginable. No unions, no rights, no mercy. The bosses treated them like scrap iron, melt them down, replace them tomorrow. They didn't need a devil to haunt that place. They built one with every breath they stole. By the early 1900s, the death toll from Sloss was in the hundreds. Men fell, burned, suffocated, disappeared into the slag pits. And yet the factory kept running. Because that's America, ain't it? We pave over pain, slap a nameplate on it, call it progress. The ghosts of industry. Even now, the place still breathes. You walk those catwalks, and it's colder than it should be, even with the Alabama heat. People say the pipes hum on their own. Some hear footsteps following them in the dark, a whisper in the static saying, "Keep working." Paranormal teams come through with cameras and gear. They leave shaken. They pick up EVPs saying, "Help me," or worse, faster. And let me tell you, it ain't the ghosts of the workers that scare me. It's the ghost of management. The echo of a system that chews up lives and calls it industry. Every puff of steam, every hiss of metal, it's history breathing down your neck, reminding you that comfort was built on someone else's nightmare. deals with the devil. Now picture this twist. 1930s, the mob's moving south, looking to muscle in on the steel game. They send a guy, some Brooklyn wise guy with a mouthful of bad ideas, to take over Sloss. He figures, hey, ghosts don't scare me. I done worse. So he walks the factory alone one night, cigar in hand, laughing at the shadows, and he starts seeing faces in the furnace flame. His boys hear him screaming, "Get him off me! Get him off me!" They run in, nobody's there. Just a pair of boots sitting by the catwalk, smoldering. You can't buy off the past, sweetheart. And down here, the past collects with interest. The psychology of a haunting. You know what's funny, Bambi? Every haunted place got the same pattern: pain, exploitation, cover-up. People say ghosts ain't real, but let me tell you, collective guilt sure as hell is. The Sloss furnaces ain't haunted by slag. They're haunted by the idea that man thought he could play God with fire and not get burned. They say ghosts repeat what they couldn't finish. Well, this country ain't done repeating what it started. Fire don't forget. It remembers every scream, every drop of sweat, every deal made in the dark. And when you walk through that place, the ghosts don't whisper, boo. They whisper, I built this. Don't you forget me. Next stop, kids, we're heading west, out of the heat and into the desert, where the sun bakes the bones and the past checks in but don't check out. The Jerome Grand Hotel, the hospital that couldn't heal itself. Jerome Grand Hotel, Arizona. You ever been in a room where the air feels thick? Like it's watching you breathe? That's the Jerome Grand Hotel, perched up on Cleopatra Hill like it's guarding something it don't want to give back. See, before it was a hotel, it was a hospital, the United Verde Hospital, built in 1926. Back then, Jerome was a copper town, rich in ore, poor in mercy. The mines were deep, the accidents were plenty, and this building, it was where they sent the broken. Miners dragged in coughing up blood, lungs full of dust and poison. Burn victims, gas victims, crushed limbs, broken backs. Every room held a last breath. They say over 9,000 people died here before the mines ran dry. And when the last ambulance left, the walls stayed full. The hospital that wouldn't stay dead. When the town collapsed, Jerome turned into a ghost town, literally. Windows boarded up, bars empty, the earth still rumbling from abandoned shafts below. Then in '96, some bright idea comes along. Let's reopen the hospital as a hotel. Tourists will love it. Yeah, because nothing says vacation like renting a room from death itself. They painted the walls, changed the signs, made it pretty. But let me tell you, kids, you can't wallpaper over tragedy. It bleeds through, always does. Guests started reporting cold spots, doors slamming on their own, lights flickering, same old spooky jazz. But it wasn't cheap thrills, it was grief structured into the architecture. You can feel it when you stand in the old operating theater. The floor hums, the pipes rattle, and sometimes you swear you hear a voice behind you, muttering a name that ain't yours. The man in the boiler room. Now here's where it gets real twisted. Back in the old hospital days, there was an engineer, names lost to time. Worked alone in the boiler room, keeping the lights on. One night, 1935, they found him at the bottom of the elevator shaft. Neck snapped. No one knows if he fell or got pushed. Ever since, the elevator's been acting up. Moves by itself, stops on the wrong floor. Doors open when nobody's there. Visitors swear they see a shadow in the reflection of the metal, tall, lean, in coveralls, watching them. And the sound, not screams, just the hum of a man still working, like he never got the message he's dead. Sometimes ghosts don't haunt out of anger. Sometimes they haunt because they got a job they never finished. They're stuck in the loop. The routine, the grind, like the rest of us. The human condition wrapped in haunting. You look at this place long enough, you start realizing it ain't about ghosts. It's about our obsession with control. We turn hospitals into hotels, tragedy into tourism, pain into profit. We keep saying, we can fix it, we can rebuild it, we can make it better. But sometimes, kid, you gotta let the dead rest. The Jerome Grand is a lesson in what happens when you don't. It's like a wound we refuse to close. A nation that loves progress so much, it don't know when to stop digging. Even the land knows it. Stand outside at sunset. The desert glows blood red, and the building sits on the hill like a scar that won't fade. You know what a haunted hospital really is, sweethearts? It's guilt. It's man's inability to let go of the lives he couldn't save. It's the echo of "I'm sorry" that never got said. When people die in pain, the air remembers. You can clean it, renovate it, paint it, sell it, but you can't purify history. That's the real haunting. So when guests say they feel watched, they ain't wrong. They're being watched by the past, and the past don't blink. Out there, the sun'll bleach bones clean, but inside them walls, it's the memories that stay stained. Hospitals don't heal everything, kid. Some wounds just learn to walk around at night. Next up, we're leaving the desert behind and going northeast into the woods of Connecticut, where the silence don't feel natural. Where even the birds don't sing, where a whole town disappeared and left nothing but whispers. Dudleytown, Connecticut, the village that time refused to forgive. You ever walk into a place and know right away, something don't want you there? That's Dudleytown. No signs, no stores, no welcome mats. Just trees, miles and miles of them, growing over what's left of a town that died screaming. See, back in the 1700s, Connecticut was filling up with little settlements, good old New England optimism, you know, hard work, family, faith. But the Dudleys, they brought something else, bad luck, or maybe just bad blood. The Curse of the Dudleys history books will tell you the Dudley family came from England. One of their ancestors was accused of treason against the crown, had his head chopped off. And the story goes, that curse followed his kin across the ocean. They settled in Cornwall, Connecticut, and that's where it all started unraveling. Farms failed, livestock died, neighbors vanished. One man wandered into the woods one morning, never came back. They found his hat hanging from a branch, no trace of him below. Another went mad, babbling about things in the fog. By the 1800s, the whole town was deserted. They called it the Village of the Damned. Locals say the curse still clings to the soil. That if you step foot there after dark, the forest starts listening. No birds, no bugs, just silence so thick it feels like breathing underwater. People report losing sense of direction, compasses spin, cameras glitch, voices vanish into static. You know how they say the woods are alive? Yeah. This one's awake, and it remembers who trespassed. The science and the supernatural. Now me, I always look at both sides of the coin. Some historians say the Dudleys weren't cursed, just unlucky. Bad farmland, isolation, sickness, a recipe for despair. But let me tell you something, kids. Misery leaves a fingerprint. And when a whole town dies of hopelessness, that stain don't wash out easy. The soil up there? They tested it once. Weird magnetic fields, high iron content, unstable frequencies. Maybe that's why compasses spin and electronics fry. Or maybe it's something older, something human science don't got language for yet. The psychology of isolation. You want to know what really haunts Dudleytown? Silence. Pure, uncut, no background noise silence. See, when people go out there, their own thoughts start talking louder. You hear things in the quiet, maybe your regrets, maybe your guilt. And when the brain can't tell the difference between memory and echo, That's when the forest gets in you. Dudleytown ain't haunted by ghosts. It's haunted by the people who went looking for 'em. Curiosity kills more than cats, sweetheart. It kills peace of mind. Modern legends. These days, it's private land, owned by the Dark Entry Forest Association. They don't want nobody in there. Say it's to protect nature, but locals, they'll tell you it's to protect you. Hikers get lost. Tech fails. Last kid who tried sneaking in said the air felt like it was humming. Said he saw shadows that didn't match his flashlight angle. Came out white as chalk, never spoke about it again. And every Halloween, some idiot tries to go in, and the cops always say the same thing. We found the car, doors open, keys still inside. You can pave roads, build cities, and act like we tamed this country. But there's places that never signed that deal. Dudleytown's one of them. It don't care who you are. It don't care what you believe. You walk in there, you belong to the woods now. Next stop, kids, we're leaving the trees and going back to civilization. Or what's left of it. Ohio. An old poorhouse where the forgotten still wander the halls looking for mercy they never got. The Fairfield County Infirmary, the forgotten house. You ready, kids? 'Cause this one ain't about monsters or myths. It's about what happens when humanity forgets its own. The Fairfield County Infirmary, Lancaster, Ohio. The forgotten house. You ever been somewhere where the air smells like medicine and regret? Where even the paint on the wall seems tired? That's the Fairfield County Infirmary. Ain't no haunted mansion or fancy legend, just a big crumbling brick building sitting out in the fields of Lancaster. Watching time forget it. A house for the unwanted. It opened in 1840, back when Ohio was still figuring out what to do with its poor, its sick, and its broken. They called it a poorhouse. A polite name for a dumping ground. If you had no money, no family, no health, no worth in society's eyes, you got sent here. Men who couldn't work. Women abandoned by husbands. Children born sick or different. They all ended up in those cold halls, living on watery soup and the promise of mercy. And mercy, kids, was in short supply. They say some staff were kind. Others, monsters in clean coats. People died of neglect, hunger, or plain loneliness. The dead were buried out back in a field with no names, just numbered stones, because even in death, they didn't rate identification. When the place finally shut down in the late 1990s, the county said it was for safety reasons. But the locals, they said the building didn't want to be empty anymore. Lights flickered when nobody was inside. Windows slammed shut against still air. And sometimes, late at night, you could see silhouettes walking past the windows. Staff long gone. Patients long dead. Routines they never got to stop doing. The kind of haunting you feel, not see. Most haunted places got stories with punchlines. Ooh, a ghost screamed. Ooh, a door slammed. But the infirmary ain't like that. It's quiet. Soft. Like the building's embarrassed by what it saw. Investigators say they hear murmurs, cries, shuffling feet. They feel pressure on their shoulders, cold air where there shouldn't be any. Some smell iodine, dust, and soup. Others swear they hear their name whispered in their ear, gentle, like a nurse calling a patient that ain't there. But it's not the fear that gets you. It's the sadness. Like the whole place is apologizing for what it had to be. These weren't haunted by demons. They were haunted by policy. By the idea that some lives just ain't worth the paperwork. That's the real ghost here, bureaucracy with a body count. Every hallway whispers the same line. I was here once and nobody cared. The psychology of forgetting. Now let's get deep for a sec. You know what really haunts us? It ain't the dead. It's the forgotten. Ghosts ain't begging for vengeance. They're begging for remembrance. Every soul that passed through this place, abandoned, mistreated, erased, left behind a piece of what it means to be human. Neglect leaves an echo, and neglect's contagious. You walk through those halls today, you'll feel it, that weight, that ache that says, don't look away this time. Fairfield ain't just haunted by who died there. It's haunted by everyone who didn't care enough to notice. Places like this, they ain't reminders of death. They're proof of life, the kind we ignore because it hurts to look at. Every cracked wall, every broken bed frame, every name carved into the paint, it's history saying, I mattered once. America's got ghosts, kids. Not the Hollywood kind, the human kind. Every state's got its sins built into the foundations. Every road's got a story buried under the asphalt. And every place we think is cursed, it's just the past demanding to be remembered. From Lydia's lonely perfume in Alaska, to Slag's molten scream in Birmingham, to the nurse who won't rest in Jerome, to the forest that eats silence in Connecticut, to the infirmary that still mourns Ohio's forgotten, the message is the same. You built this, you left us here, and we're still waiting to be seen. So next time you drive by some old building falling apart, don't call it haunted. Call it history. 'Cause maybe what's creeping through them halls ain't a ghost at all. Maybe it's what's left of decency, knocking on the walls, asking if anyone's still home. You ever notice how the road feels different after midnight? Like the world exhales. Like it finally drops the act. That's when the ghosts come out, not the sheet-wearing kind, but the ones sitting next to you in the passenger seat. Regret, nostalgia, lost love, bad choices, they all hit you right eventually. And as you drive through this country, you start seeing the pattern, kid. Every haunted place we've been to, it ain't cursed, it's honest. It's the part of America that never learned how to lie to itself. You got the Red Onion up north, still serving drinks to ghosts who never found closure. You know, people always ask me, you really believe in ghosts? And I tell them, nah, not in the Hollywood sense. But I believe in something heavier. I believe in the energy of what we did wrong, how it hangs around until we set it right. And if that ain't a ghost, then I don't know what is. Every mob deal, every war, every broken promise, they all leave residue. It sticks to walls, it seeps into wood, it breathes out of the cracks. And if you stand still long enough, it finds you. We build cities over graveyards and call it progress. We pave roads over tragedy and call it history. We name hotels after the hospitals they used to be. We make tourist traps out of tombstones. But underneath all that, the ground still hums. And maybe that hum ain't the dead talking. Maybe it's the living remembering. So if you ever find yourself on some back road in the middle of nowhere and you see a light in the distance, pull over. Turn off the engine, listen. If you hear laughter, let it be. If you hear crying, say a prayer.